Guys, welcome back to Medical Coding with Blue. It's Q&A Tuesday. One bit of housekeeping before we begin. I will not be filming tomorrow because I have a lot to do and there is no way that I will be able to devote my time to my episode for tomorrow. So I'm going to move it on to Thursday, but it's okay because it's a really good one and I'm very excited about it. Let's begin. Thank you to everybody who submitted questions, by the way. I really appreciate it, and please keep your questions coming because it's because of you guys that we have these episodes. So continue to submit your questions as you have them, and I will be glad to share what I know. Okay? Let's begin. The first question is about coding accuracy rates and how important are they? It is very important to always strive to be as accurate as possible. Every facility has different levels that they consider to be accurate, what they want you to hit. Certain facilities it's going to be 90%. They mean 90% of your coding needs to be accurate. Some facilities it's 94%. Some it's 95, some it's 96, some it's 97, as high as 97%. So they really want you to strive for ultimate accuracy. This is entirely possible, but there are many factors that go into it, such as the amount of records are they auditing, how many records are they auditing, who is the auditor, and are they willing to work with you when they're seeing that you're making the same kind of mistake. So that's something to consider, to think about. You will be counseled on this. Anywhere I've ever worked, they've always counseled about what their accuracy policy is and how they go about to maintain it. So that's just one thing that is just part of the gig. And I will be doing an entire episode about audits and what it means to be audited. And I did do an episode on this before, but it's okay. I will do another one because I think I want to dive a little bit deeper into it. Okay? But it is always very important to strive for accuracy as best you can. Okay? This is why I always emphasize on educating yourself in any and everything, because the more you know, the better off you are. And the more easier it is for you. Just saying. Okay, so that's number one. Maintaining certifications with accuracy percentages. So each association is different. I know with AHIMA, we do have a self-assessment that we do have to take. I'm not really familiar with AAPC if they have self-assessments. If you're an AAPC member, be sure to comment below and let me know. They're just really, when you do the self-assessments, they want to make sure that you still have a good grasp of medical coding. That's what self-assessments are. But these are important to maintain your credential. So not only do you have to report continuing education units, you also do have to report your self-assessment as well. But that's with the HEMA. I don't know if AAPC does it, so be sure to check out AAPC. All right? So what online schools are available? So both associations, both AHIMA and AAPC, have their own self-paced programs. You can check the websites for both of those, and I will include the address down below. Career Step also has a online course, self-paced online course. Be sure to check them out if you're interested in going the Career Step path. But you still would have to decide which association you want to take your test through. Because with Career Step, they do either association they can prep you for. So just be sure to check out Career Step if that's what you're interested in. Somebody mentioned Penn Foster also offers a coding course. So be sure to check them out if that's the route that you want to go. Any sort of online school or any sort of trade school, you always want to do your vetting. But of course, your most safest route is with the association. So both associations offer those online courses. So be sure to check those out if that's the path that you want to go. Okay? And the next question is there a union for coders? Not that I know of. There may be a union at your hospital or at your facility or wherever that you're working, but there's not a particular unit. There's not a particular union for coders. Not that I know of, okay? But if you know that there is, you can comment below, because I have never heard of a union specific for medical coders. Now, I know there's a union for teachers and a union for steel workers and things, but I've never heard of one for medical coders. Okay. Can you wear scrubs as a coder? So this is going to depend on where you work. Okay, because the first place that I worked, they didn't care what we wore, but I didn't even know that wearing scrubs would have been an option. The second place was, it was totally okay to wear scrubs as a medical coder. And then now where I work, you cannot wear scrubs. Only nurses and techs, LVNs can wear scrubs. So those were the only ones that could wear it. And so it just really depends on where you work. So you'd have to ask where you're working, hey, can we wear scrubs? Some will say sure, and some will say no. So it just depends. I liked wearing scrubs. I thought it was really cool when I wore scrubs, but I like to dress up too, so I'm okay with wearing my clothes, So the next one is, do you have to be a fast typer to get into medical coding? No. I will say no. The only thing you need to be really good at is a 10 key by touch. Now that will benefit you. If you are really fast with 10 key, and after a while you will start to get faster with 10 key, always go for that center, work from the center button, like I think it's number 5, and you go from there, and after a while it gets really easy. You won't be henpecking, if you're really getting a lot of practice with the 10 key by touch. So that's just something, but no, you don't have to be a fast typist. It's not something like, it's not like transcription, where of course it is imperative that you have a fast type time, but 10 key by touch is usually what you're going to be using anyway. So that's the answer for that one. Do you have to buy new books every year? Yes, you do, because every year these codes get updated. So sometimes they'll delete codes, sometimes they'll add codes. So you always want to have the latest and greatest of what's going on with medical coding. So you do have to have the latest book. Now, if you are going to go take your exam, make sure that you are taking the correct books, and they will tell you which books that you need, because I think the carryover into the next year goes up until April, so you can have this is 2019, so you can take the 2019 book into a few months into 2020 when you take the exam. But like I said, make sure that you're looking at the required books before you go take your exam, okay? Just make sure that you're looking at all of that information. But yes, every year you should be getting new books. If it's not supplied by your hospital, or wherever you're working, just try to make sure that you're staying on top of, the latest book, That's the answer on that one. And finally, this has been probably one of my most asked questions since I've had my channel. What is your opinion of these 3-day medical coding academies? I will say this. I have not gone to this 3-day academy. Okay. So I don't know what the itinerary is for, or what the pace is for this learning, for this 3-day academy. I'm saying this up front, okay? But I will say that as a person who is an experienced coder, I think to learn about medical coding in 3 days is quite ambitious, and it's a lot. It is a lot, because I can tell you that these are just some of the things that you learn with medical coding. Now, I went to a self-paced school that was supposed to be 9 months, and I made it through in 6 months because it was self-paced. That's me because I'm very driven and I love to read, and that's something that sometimes gets left out because I've seen people that have gotten upset about, well, I didn't like medical coding and I got into it and I don't like it. Okay, a couple of things could have happened. Maybe the person who was teaching them, maybe wasn't teaching them in a way that it would help them to understand. Okay, that's number one. Number two, maybe they were getting into it for the money. Okay, there's a lot of work that goes into this field, period. So if you are wanting to get into medical coding, it does pay handsomely, but don't let that be the reason that you want to get into it. Because if that's the reason that you want to get into it, but you don't like to study and you don't like to read, this is not the thing for you, okay? I'm just saying this because I want to be as honest with everybody that's watching this. Medical coding is a very vast knowledge base where you have to know a lot about a lot of things, okay? So 3 days to learn about podiatry, orthopedics, neurology, rheumatology, pulmonology, family practice, general surgery, pain, pediatrics, cardiology, dermatology, OBGYN, oncology, ophthalmology, dental, internal medicine, psychology, physical medicine, physical therapy, occupational therapy, just to name a few specialties. Not only that, medical coding also involves medical terminology, anatomy, pathophysiology, pharmacology, computer systems, HIPAA, ethics, learning acronyms like PRN, RT, LT, TID, DM, HTN, CKD, DX, and then you have your modifiers. Just for example, 50, 51, 25, 22, 57, just to name a few, because there's a lot more than that. You have to learn your ICD-10 coding guidelines, surgery guidelines, E&M guidelines, how to look up diagnosis, how to look up CPT procedures, and then if you're going to do inpatient PCS, looking up PCS procedures. Outpatient and inpatient, both with different guidelines. And then you all have to do it with speed, because most exams, most certification exams are at least 4 hours. That's at least 4 hours. So, again, I have not seen what the curriculum is for that school. I hope that if you are genuinely interested in learning medical coding, that you will consider all of your options. This is not something to cut corners on to learn, because it's not going to help you if you cut corners when you're trying to learn. It's only going to be harder for you, because let's just say you get through your certification exam. You still have to go out into the real world and apply for jobs, and you have to take a test. Every place will test you, and it doesn't matter how much experience you have. I have over 10 years of experience in the field. If I was to go and apply somewhere today, I'd still have to take a test. And it doesn't matter if I know people. I would still have to take a test, because they still need to know, what is it that I know? How much do I know? How detailed am I? I have been in this field for over 10 years. I'm still asking questions. I'm still learning things. Because like I said, I've never gone to medical school. I don't know, right? There's a lot of things I don't know. And I will say this. I will probably say this till the day I retire, if I ever retire, right? I don't know. I've got to look it up. I've got to figure this out. And that's just the diagnosis and the disease portion. That's not counting, the medical coding part. Because there's still little things that you still have to know about medical coding, which is why I tried to help with even with Quiz Friday, right? Giving you guys good examples of good diagnosis to look up. And that's just the diagnoses. We haven't even gotten into procedures yet. We haven't even gotten into the modifiers challenge. So that is my opinion. Like I said, I have not seen the curriculum. I don't know. But I can tell you that it is a lot that you do have to learn with medical coding. And I am somebody that loves to read. And I got through my self-paced school in 6 months. It still took me 6 months. And these tests are not easy. These certification exams, and I've said this before on the other one, they are not easy. And they are not easy on purpose because you are going into a field where what you do impacts hospitals, facilities, doctors. Most importantly, it affects the patients. It affects insurance companies. It affects people's pockets. It affects bottom lines. It is the reason that people are able to get hired. It is the reason that hospitals get shut down. Because if people are not accurately coding, hospitals, facilities, doctors' offices lose money. And when people lose money, people start losing jobs. So this is why I always stress that it is very important to take this seriously. This is not a game. Medical coding is not a game. It is something that you have to be committed to. And if you are committed to it, and if you do devote your time to it, it will reward you eventually. Whether it's, with a really, really good paying job or just being satisfied in a career. So this is something to think about. This is not something to take lightly. And I always encourage anybody that wants to look into medical coding to look into it. If you want to try it out, great. I'll be here rooting you on too, because that's how I am. When you want to get into something, surround yourself with people that are going to be positive. That's another thing too that I haven't mentioned yet. But there are going to be people that say that you can't do it. But you have to put it in your mind. Can you? Do you want to? If it's something that you want to do, then put it in your mind. Because the second that you put it in your mind, that seed is planted. And nobody can shake that. Once you have it in your head, nobody can take that away from you. And once you get your certification, nobody can take that away from you either. The only one who can lose it is you. If you don't, report your CEUs, or if you don't, do what you're supposed to do in order to maintain your credential, or you do something bad, then you can lose it. But that is something that no one can take away. Okay? But you, if you lose it. That's the only thing. So I think it's a great field. Like I said, I don't know where I would be if I didn't have it, honestly. But that's just something that you guys have to decide on your own if that's what you want. Okay? So I will be here for support with my channel. And, if you have any questions, let me know. I'm always open for questions, and I like to share what I know. And I really kick myself kind of for not doing this sooner because, not everybody thinks the same, obviously. And so sometimes it just takes maybe hearing from somebody else, oh yeah, I should have looked at it this way, or I should have looked at it that way. And remember, we've only scratched the surface on these videos lately. I mean, literally, we've only scratched the surface into the coding part. Barely. Okay, so there's a lot into it. But I don't mind sharing my knowledge. I like what I do. I love what I do, And they always say, if you love what you do, you never work a day in your life. And like I said, most days I don't feel like I'm working. So anyway, I'm going to go ahead and wrap this one up. So I hope this was informative for you guys. I hope I answered your questions. If you have any more questions, let me know. And if you are a medical coder, medical coding student, somebody curious about the fascinating world of medical coding, a provider or a nurse, be sure to like and subscribe and see all the fun adventures that go on with me in medical coding. And I will see you guys back on Thursday. So have a good week. Good rest of the week. Bye.